In the last video, I said a distillery does not have to distill alcohol to be a distillery. We still need a clear answer to the question, what is a distillery? So let's try to find the answer to our question by again asking another question. How is alcohol made? Alcohols are the byproduct of yeast after it digests sugars. Yes, I said alcohols plural. We'll get into that in another video. A popular way to feed the yeast is to take a grain like corn and convert the grain's starches into sugar. This is done through liquefaction, which is the conversion of starches to a soluble form, then saccharification, which is turning the starch into sugar, and finally fermentation, which is the period at which the yeast converts the sugars into alcohols. It's a lot of work. A lot of my time at my distillery is spent dealing with ferments. We'll be covering the process deeper in a later video, but anyhow. If a distillery doesn't have to distill to be a distillery, but to create a distilled spirit, alcohol must be distilled from the ferment, then how does this all work together? We come to a concept called transferred in bond. It's the mechanism that allows one distillery to sell their distilled alcohol directly to another distillery. Instead of fermenting and producing their own alcohol, a distillery can buy distilled alcohol directly from another distillery. The selling distillery makes a profit on the spirits they fermented and distilled without having to pay federal excise taxes on it. The buying distillery doesn't have to put in all of the work and effort of a ferment, but will pay the federal excise tax on the alcohol when they bottle it. Excise tax will be covered deeper in a later video. One of the most common purchased alcohols is neutral grain spirit, commonly called NGS. As the name suggests, NGS is an alcohol that has neutral characteristics and was distilled from a grain source, such as corn. The buying distillery will then add value to the NGS in some way. For example, a distillery could add botanicals to an NGS and create a gin, or even redistill the distillate, the NGS, in an attempt to create a more pure vodka. So with all of that, perhaps now the answer to what is a distillery could be, a distillery is a place that distills alcohol or adds value to purchased alcohol. But no, that's not exactly what a distillery is either. We'll dig deeper in the next video. Cheers!